Hey there everyone, Hitesh here, back again with another video and welcome to the React Native series. In case you are new onto this channel, welcome on board, hit that subscribe button and join me in this amazing journey to become a classic and amazing mobile app developer. This series is entirely sponsored by Hashnode, so a big shout out and thanks to them. And you might be surprised to know that a lot of people have actually contributed in the open source code files of this project by writing articles about them. Their articles are getting featured in the repository of this particular course, as well as a lot of time on the Hashnode and our Discord server as well. So in this video, we're going to have some more fun. As you can see, I'm onto a new device. I previously was recording all of the things on my Mac Studio, but somehow it's not performing well. I'll make a separate video on that. Now I'm back on my MacBook Pro, and this is the screen where we are. We want to do something exciting in this video. So far, we have been breaking down videos into these apps into multiple small digestible videos. This one is going to be a long one. We want to see that can we build a fun app, a quick app in just one video itself so that you can follow along and we can have just fun. So far, we have talked a lot about the complex subjects like formic and the forms, taking input from the user, processing that input results and a whole lot of that. In this one, we want to keep things a little bit low, because the learning graph should not always be exponential. Sometimes it should be lower so that it builds confidence and we can have fun while building the apps. So this is exactly what we'll be doing in this video. I have downloaded the repository React Native projects up here. So this is our React Native projects, all the files and everything up here. We'll be creating a new folder into this one. So let me open up my terminal. And first, let's go up here into desktop and this React Native project. We'll create a fresh new project here. So just like always, it's npx, simply react-native in it. And the project name is going to be, this is basically just a background changer app, but you'll learn some of the basics about logic writing and all these stuffs and how these logics are propagated over the React Native apps. So that will be helpful for you. So let's call this one as BG changer. And this one is, I guess, fourth app, but let me just correct if I'm wrong. So this is my fourth app. 1, 2, 3. Yep, this is our fourth app that we are building. So let's go ahead and name this one as 04. And once I do this, this is going to download the template and we'll have our file and everything up and running. So this is going to be fantastic and fun. By the way, just wanted to bring your attention on some more stuff in case you are not aware of that part. So wanted to bring your attention on some more stuff. So let me bring it up here. So this is our React Native projects, and this is where all the projects are going in. So React Native, you can write your article on Hashnode and everything. But with every single project, you can see that I'm putting up the contribution 3, contribution 4, and all these files. Looks like I accidentally made this MD file. Yep. So somebody actually created an MD file with a capital M, and I accidentally merged there. But I'll fix this up, no worries. But you can see there are a lot of contributors in this one. These people have actually contributed a nice articles, and that's why I have merged their contribution. You can see a lot of people have contributed and all these things. You can also do this contribution in the open source world. So don't hesitate, write your article. This will help other people to learn along with us. This is a fantastic way of how we can actually help the entire community. So our file has actually downloaded everything. If you also see these kinds of errors and bundlers and all of this, nothing to be worried. This is a really, really common thing, not to be worried at all. So let's go up here. We want to go into this one. So this one is BG changer 04. Do a quick ls. All the files are here. So I'd like to open this up into my code editor. And there we go. All right. So this is the file that we have. And there we go. Now I can see a couple of changes right out of the box that this file is not going to run, especially in my system, because I don't get this locale .properties folder out of the box if I want to run it on the Android. So I'll always go ahead and say locale .properties, and I have to copy paste the location of my SDK wherever it is. So this is my location of SDK. In case you are on Windows, I've already mentioned that in the earlier videos that this is how you can actually go ahead and do this. We will run our file, but we'll run later on because I have to actually open up my emulator. I don't have my real device connected because I'm running out of the port, but no worries. So far in the 3 app, I walked you through that how you can do this. I've been mirroring my device, so that is absolutely fine. Shouldn't be worried at all. Now let's go into our main file where we write all of our code and understand how the things are actually designed and planned. So this is all the things. So we can actually go ahead and remove this. Let's reduce down this to a lot. There is lot, the selection is here, the app is here, the styles are here, a lot is there. I'll just remove all the styles. There we go. And in the app itself, there is a lot that is going on. So I'll just go ahead and remove this. And there's a lot safe area and everything. I'll just, for the time being, I'll add a text so that we are returning something. And we're going to call this one as test text. There we go. We don't need this method. There we go. We don't need any selection prop as a type. We are not interested in that. Imports we'll worry about later on. Right now, not worried on the import part. And this is okay. We don't also need this. So there we go, looking much more cleaner as an application or as a project. Now, when you want to build any kind of project, first think that how you're going to build. So I just want to have a really simple area in this project that I want to have a button which changes the background of the app. Now, first thing that should come to your mind is how I'm going to place the button. That is fine and easy. We have worked through with the Flexbox and all these things. I can place a button at the center. In my second app, I have already learned that. Now, another thing is, I'm performing a change on some action. That could be an action of tapping a button or taking an input from the user and all of that. We have also completed in the last app that when you want to propagate any kind of such changes in the app UI, there is something known as state in the React Native that also you need to worry about. So everything needs to happen through the state itself. Directly, we cannot go ahead and update the UI. This is the couple of things that should come to your mind. If these things are coming to your mind, that means you are onto a correct path of learning as an app developer in React Native. All right. So first what I'll do is I'll try to put up a simple background up here. So a couple of properties I'll bring in so that you learn something more. So there is a status bar as a component that you can bring in. And in this status bar, you can make it this like this, or you can make it a self-closing component just like that. If you'll read more about the status bar, it actually changes the top status bar and you have a couple of properties in this. For example, you have this background color as a property and you can change it whatever you like. So in this one, you can go ahead and say that, hey, I want to have a background color of, let's just say all black. So you can go ahead and make that. So that is, we'll definitely change this one as well. But right now, this is a new property wanted to introduce. Now, since I'm going to throw away a lot of these components, so it is better that instead of putting up like this, let's go ahead and have a fragment, which is an empty component, and place everything inside it. So we'll just put the status bar here. Now inside this, we'll have a view so that we can place our button. So we're going to go ahead and say, hey, I want to have a view. Now this view will have a couple of styles. We'll come back onto this later on. Now we know that we can create a button by having simply touchable opacity. You can go ahead and change this by having a view-like button and take care of the things on your own. That is also completely okay. You don't have to worry. All right, so inside this touchable opacity, let's further have a simple view because we want to style it out properly. So we'll have a simple view. And inside the view, I'll have the text. This text will simply say, press me, just like that. There is nothing like that. But obviously, I want to provide some of the activities on this, that how this is going to behave and whatnot. So let's go ahead and give it some of the properties. So I'll just come up here and I'll say style. Really basic. We have already done and talked so much in depth about these stylings. So I'll just go ahead and I would like to place a couple of stylings on this. So arrays, and then we'll say styles dot container. And obviously I have to create an object up of the container just right here. There we go. Now this is going to be really basic container. First, I'll just say flex is going to be one of this container so that it takes the entire space. And we want to bring all the items inside this container to the center. We know that we have already have a detailed discussion on this align item or not align content, align items. That is going to be center. And one more property, which is justify content. We have discussed about the axes, about the React Native, that how in the React Native, the main axis is from the top to bottom. There are a couple of nice articles where we worked on the styles. So you can check out the repository and people have contributed nice articles. So go ahead and check them out. That will help you to understand this. All right. Now we'll also go ahead and put one more properties up here, but I'll talk about them later on, that why we have multiple of this, because this view also will have the entire colors being changed, but I'll talk about that in a second. All right, so we do have a couple of more properties up here. First, let's go ahead and have this view and we'll fix it just like this. And this one will have styles dot, let's call this one as action button. Now, obviously action button doesn't exist. So we'll just copy this and we'll have an action button like this. There we go. Now we won't be focusing too much onto this button. This view is already nice. So we're going to just provide some of the properties. So let's just go ahead and provide the border radius. Let's go with 12. Right now we are not seeing a visual aspect of it, but that's totally okay. Now I have some background colors as well that I'll just copy and paste from the notes. These are nothing much. I have picked up this notes from my UI color picker website. In case you are not aware of this, uicolorpicker.com. So far, we are not doing any logic part. This is just the fanciness. Let's go ahead and go for padding vertical. So from the vertical side, let's go ahead and give it a 10. And from horizontal also. So we'll just go padding horizontal. Let's go 40. In case you don't like it, you can always go ahead and change this. Now we will have one more property of this style. Let's go ahead and stylize this text as well. I'll just copy and paste this. This one will be style button text, or txt is fine. Copy that and come up here, paste this as an object. Again, we won't be doing too much onto this one because we've already discussed this. Font size, let's go with 24. And color, all white. So we'll just go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Nice and easy. And we'll also transform this text to all uppercase. So we'll just go as text transform to uppercase in case you want to do this. All right. So far it is good. We have quickly designed an app. Just place a button at the center. We haven't even designed it much. But right now there is nothing in this app which is actually changing the background. In order to change the background, this view, since this is a container view, that means it will take the entire space. That color need to be changed. So far, there is no property in this which is actually governing the color. That's we are aware of it. Now, also on top of this, we have to generate this on the onPress event. So right now in the touchable opacity, there is no such event we can mention, which is onPress. So we have to create an onPress, which actually generates this color. Now, before we generate the color, we are aware of this completely, 100%, that we need to have a state. Now, without the state, you cannot update the UI. State is the one which changes. So how can I go ahead and define the state? It's really, really simple. State is nothing more. It's just a set of variable that you have to declare. Not set of variable, but a just variable and a function. So const, this is an array. This is how the syntax of state looks like. Use state, if I can write that. There we go. So we'll just have use state just like this. Now there are a couple of things or parameters you have to take care. Inside the use states, you always mention what is the default state or default value of my variable. You can declare something like as a Boolean value. You can declare an array. You can declare an object. So everything is allowed. Nothing is off the record here. So simply go ahead, and in this case, we'll just provide a value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a hex code value that I'm giving it to it, which is for the white color. Okay. Now further, here into this array, there are two things that you have to keep an eye on. In the array, the first element is always and always a variable, and the second item in the array is the method which is responsible for changing this variable. I repeat this again. In this array, the first element is a simple variable. You can name this variable whatever you like. And the second item of this array is really simple. It's a method responsible for changing that variable. All right. So for example, if I go ahead and write Superman, this will be change Superman, something like this. So this is always a method. This is how it always looks like. But there is a syntax which people like to use in this case. For example, if I go ahead and make this as random background, then people like to put as set random background. So this is a convention, nothing more than a convention, but obviously we are a good programmer. We always follow the convention. So it's a random background, then it would be set random background. You'll see this. For example, it's a Hitesh, then it's a set Hitesh. It's a Superman, then set Superman. But again, there is no such hard request that you have to always follow this. Okay, now I know that this is a variable and I have a method which can actually update the UI as my command. So now let's go ahead and create a simple, very simple method, which will be responsible for updating the color. Let's call this one as generate color. There we go. Now this, let's create an arrow function. You can create a regular function as well. There is no such hard and fast. It doesn't need any parameter at all. We just need a simple list to basically what we want to do is generate this hex code value. So I know that obviously all the time this hash is there And this is a hexadecimal value. So I know what is the range of hexadecimal value. So that is all I have to worry about. So what I'll do is I'll just call this one as a hex range. I know this. So what could be the range values here? So I know that this starts from 0, or you can call it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once I have this 7, 8, 9, this is my number range. Then since this is a hexadecimal, then I have to go A, B, C, D, E, F. This is the whole range of this. So all I have to do is randomly select from this range and have to create a hexadecimal value. Now let's go ahead and declare another variable up here. So let color. Now this color obviously is always going to start with a pound sign or a hash, and then the rest of the values I have to fill. And as you have seen me a couple of times in this video, that I always calculate that these are 6 values. Sometimes people can say that, hey, you can also go ahead and work on with this values as well. It automatically predicts the values, but that is not a correct way. You always should have 6 values here. All right. Let's go ahead and write a simple loop, which will loop through this hex range and will give us all the values. So let's go ahead and use a simple for loop. I'll shorten it down for I, and I want to traverse through this index. Now I don't want to traverse through any array length or something like this. I'll just go ahead and remove this. I know that I have to hard code the value of 6. There we go. So index will be less than 6 till the time we'll be keep on adding the values. So this is all nice. Starts with 0. So always remember, it doesn't starts with 1. So we are not getting 5 values. We are actually getting 6 values starting from 0. All right. Sometimes it gets confused to some of the people. Let's remove this. We don't need this at all. All we have to do is simply take this variable color, which we declared in line number 31, and have to plus equals. Means we have to keep on adding the things into this. Let's go ahead and say hex range. There we go. What value do you want to bring from the hex range? Obviously, we have to generate a value from it. So what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and provide hex range. Which index I want to select? Obviously, we have discussed this. Not discussed this, but this is a common knowledge. You might have seen that in my JavaScript videos as well. So we want to math.floor to actually get not a decimal value. Then simply go ahead and use math.random. There we go. And in the math.random, we'll multiply it by 16 to get the hex range here. I think that's it. That's it. And in case you are getting confused, you can always go ahead and do a console log of what this is going to give you and all these things. In fact, you can go ahead and copy this. Yep, just like this. And we can bring it just like this. In case this is confusing to anybody, we can right click, inspect, and just go up here, console, and oops. There we go. We can always go ahead and you can see that the values are now in the range of this. So pretty simple, pretty basic. Sometimes we multiply it by 10 to get the values between range of 1 and 10, or 0 and 10, just like this. So this time we are multiplying it by directly 16 to get the value between that range. All right. So this is okay. Now you understand that part. There we go. So now we have this, but this alone is not going to do anything because right now we are setting the value in the color, which is not being used anywhere. We are also creating a hex range. So where should I actually pass on this color to? The whole idea is that this variable should be having this value, but I cannot go ahead and say, come up here that, hey, now this color is defined. So let's go ahead and have this random background is equals to color. This would be mistake. We cannot actually go ahead and do this. You can do this actually. This will not probably going to give you any error or something like this, but it's not going to work. It will not update your UI. And that is why the second method is given to you, which is set random background. In this, you can go ahead and update the variable. All you have to do is simply pass on the color. The color, now this random background will be updated with this value automatically. So there we go. So the logic part is pretty easy comparatively. Now, how can we go ahead and put this? So now, in case you remember, the reason why we have created an array of styles here, because I want to add one more style. The one more style that I'll be adding is really simple. I'll just come up here. I want to add one more style like this. So just go up here and here I'm going to say I want to update the background color. What should be the value of this one? It's going to be simply random background. So I'm updating it to the state that I have. Looks like there is an error up here. Let's see. Color value undefined. Background color. So looks like the value is undefined. Shouldn't be like that. And background color, let me go ahead and quickly check whether what is the issue here. All right, nothing too complex here. I just have this array, but I accidentally wrote it outside of it. I'm pretty sure you have already cut this up. Wanted to write it inside. There we go. Sometimes when you teach and talk at the same time, it's difficult to see on the screen, but yeah. Okay, so the background color is there. Now, since we have this background color, why do we need to actually make it black? We can also make it always a random color. So obviously we can go ahead and do this. This was just to explain you, but I can go ahead and remove this and have this random background color here as well. So all the time when you press the button, this will also change the color. And the most important thing that is remaining here is now we have to go ahead and have this on press event. On press, what do you want? When I press something, what should happen? You should generate the color. Oops, generate the color. There we go. Nothing really magical, nothing really complex. We have done this a great job. In just one video itself, we have created a nice and cool app, which actually teaches you a lot. We don't need this import statement. We can go ahead and clean this up. There's a lot of cleanup. We can actually go ahead. We are not using it this one as well. We're not using any safe area or something. So there we go. Now it's time that we actually should run this app. That is a tricky process because I have changed my system. So I have to open up my Android Studio. And inside this, I'll just have an AVD manager. And I'll run this as emulator. Should be not taking that much of time. You can close this. And this is going to probably take some time. Let me go ahead and pause the video till it opens up. All right, so the device is here. It's taking a little bit time, but that's okay. Let's quickly check and see if this is all good. And we can open up our emulator, not the emulator, the terminal. And we can actually move this up and ask it ADB devices. And yep, the emulator is actually running. So I can go ahead and ask it npx react-native run Android. And this obviously is going to take some time. I want to run it on Android. So it will actually take the app, will push it onto the emulator, and then we'll start to build this as well. So this is definitely going to take some time. This machine is okay-ish fast, but not that fast. Should be doing this thing. There we go. It's decently fast. And it says build failed. And probably the build has failed. Shouldn't be like that. So looks like there are a lot of build phase. So I have to run this Gradle E clean. So this will happen to you as well. So let me go ahead and move into Android folder. And we have to run /Gradle clean. And there we go. Should be all okay. And now it should be able to locate my folders, because the problem with my application is Gradle locale.properties. This sometimes doesn't actually get up here. So let's go ahead and try to run this again. Let me go ahead and check that what is the issue that we are facing. Saying that it took me some time to run the app would be an understatement. It definitely took me a little bit while. The legs were paining because I've been standing for a long while. But finally we did it. Let me show you what are the process and how I actually overcome with this error. Because it's not just about writing code. It's about facing the issues which I'm facing. I'm pretty sure you might be facing as well. That's why this one long short video, so that you can understand all the pain point. So obviously, as you can see, let me just show you onto this terminal full screen, that yes, it's not like it didn't work out of the box. I had to face a lot of issues. Let me show you how I investigated the issues and how I resolved this one. All right, so first one, I opened up the Android Studio and I realized that it was giving me again and again an error that the compile SDK version is not mentioned in the build Gradle. But if I open this up and check into the build.gradle, the compile SDK version is here. But I noticed that the version is 33 here, and the device that I was using was installed a long time ago, and that time that was not the version of the SDK that was available. So I realized that, okay, I need to install the latest version of it. So I went into this one and I open up Android Studio, went into directly SDK Manager because this is the one which keeps the track of all the SDKs. The first thing I investigated is going into the SDK tools, and I checked mark all the common culprits which are there. Like for example, Android SDK command line tool, although it was checked, but it had an update, so I wanted to install the update. I also installed this build tool, probably because there might be some issues with it. And most importantly, Android emulator and SDK platform tool. So these are the compulsory one, which you obviously need to install. I just reinstalled them. So obviously that's the first thing to do. Then comes the SDK platform. I realized it is better that instead of moving on to something like 27, which is a long time ago, let's create a new fresh device, which is Android APK or API 33. I checkmarked that, took some time to install that, but finally I did it. Once all of this was done, then I opened up this Android AVD manager, which is virtual device manager. Deleted, removed all the previous devices that were there. And then I simply created a new device. It's really simple, create a virtual device, and I created a Pixel 4, which is having the Play Store so that I can use it in the future, and just basically created a device which is having the 33 API version, but it didn't work. The problem with that is I tried to resolve it with many ways. I was having the locale.properties file. It was frustrating, but then I realized, all right, this is a common issue which was discussed in our Discord section. The link is in the description section. And I realized that somebody recommended that sometimes, even after doing the clean, like you can actually go ahead and do the clean thing. Let me show you how you can do that. You can go into Android. So let me check PWD. No, I'm not in Android. So you can go into Android folder and run this Gradle EW and run this clean command. So this will actually clean this, but sometimes that also doesn't work. So somebody recommended earlier in the Discord, probably a week ago, that remove this node modules folder and try to run npm install again, because there are some binaries which get installed in node modules, which is probably affecting your app. I did exactly that and voila, it worked. So I removed this. So this is the whole process I went through. Probably some of this process will help you to understand the process of running the app as well. But the good news is that finally, after doing this and also checking locale.properties, SDK directory, in case you are on Windows, that's also fine. I've already discussed that earlier. Go ahead and run this. When I run this, it actually works. So it opens up nicely on my emulator and I click on this press me. It actually just worked absolutely nice. So all the time we are having. Now, here is an interesting project that I would love to give you, and you have to take a journey of that. So what you have to do is create a lot of shapes in this app. So what I am giving you right now, this is just a simple one view, but here there should be a square, there should be a circle, there should be a triangle here. At the bottom also, there should be a couple of more shapes. Just feel free to create these shapes however you like. It could be all circles as well. It could be all squares as well, but create at least 4 or 5 different shapes. And then when I press the button, everything should get a different color. The background should get a different color. The shape should get a different color. So it should be a kind of a collage of different shapes and color that we're building. If you're able to build this app, share this with us on the Discord or in the comment section. Discord would be better. Or write an article about it on the Hashnode. We would love to see that how you actually learned from this video and created something on your own. Paste some screenshots on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you would like to tag me. I would love to see that people are making progress and are learning something from it. That is my happiness. I hope you have already subscribed to the channel. If yes, that is awesome. If not, that is also fine. I'm here going nowhere. Hit that whenever you like. That's all for this video. Let's catch up in the next one.